Hey guys, what is going on? It is your good buddy Sam, and it's time for another exciting Max MSP tutorial. Before we kick off, let me take this opportunity to plug once again this workshop, this Max for Live workshop that I'm going to be doing at HarvestWorks here in New York on this Sunday, May 1st. The workshop was on April 17th. It's been not only moved to May 1st, but also made significantly less expensive. So if you were thinking about learning about Max and Ableton Live and how to build a Max for Live device, you should definitely come and check it out. It's going to be a lot of fun. And more importantly, consider, think about what it would do to my fragile emotional state if nobody comes to this workshop. Think how crushed I would be. But in all seriousness, let's leave that aside and move to the main course here, which is going to be not using Max in Live, but maybe using Live in Max. So in Max 7, there's a little button over here, plugins, and all these Max for Live devices are actually ready and available for you to just drag and drop into your patch. And look, it's a fully functional Max for Live device. These two channels here are for audio out, so you just make an easy DAC just like this. And then if you send MIDI events here into the top right for a Max for Live instrument such as this, then you'll be able to hear some sound. You might expect that you'd be able to press or make a K slider, throw in a make note, 127, 200 say, and then pack integer to pack together the pitch and the velocity, like so. Nothing will happen because this inlet is actually expecting raw MIDI, not pitch velocity pairs. So you just need to pass this through a MIDI format before that will actually work. But now you can use this to play some sounds. If you don't want to peck away at your K slider and you also happen not to have a MIDI device like I don't have today, you can come up into extras and go down to key MIDI, and this is a MIDI controller here that you can, or simple MIDI keyboard that you can play just by pushing the keys on your computer/laptop. And if you're on a Mac, then under MIDI output devices here, there'll be one called IAC driver bus. And if you make a MIDI in object in your patch and make sure it's set to IAC driver bus, then MIDI events that are generated by this keyboard will be passed through to your Max for Live device. And you should be able to just push notes or push keys and hear notes. You would expect maybe, I expected anyway, to be able to click on baseline.amxd here in the output and then have that MIDI go to this device, but apparently that's not how things work. Who knew? So anyway, let's take a look, or let's consider a use case now. So suppose you happen to be like me, and in this case that means not only just medically uncreative, but also dangerously lazy. So I'm here pushing notes and it sounds pretty good, and I want to hear something different, but I don't want to be over here turning knobs and exploring the sound space and having some kind of I don't want to enjoy myself basically. I want to push a button and immediately hear a new sound. I want to just randomize all these knobs. Can you do that? Of course, this is Max. If you have the free time and the dedication, you can do it. Which, believe me, I certainly have at least one of those things. So let me show you one way that you could implement that sort of random button. So the first thing that we're actually going to need, this AMXD, this Max for Live device, it takes two interesting messages. One is called get params. This Max for Live device is controlled by a bunch of different parameters. You can see here voices, mod wave, filter, whatever. And if you send it the get params message, then what will come out of this rightmost outlet here is a list of all the, I'll move this keyboard for now, a list, and this one too, a list of all of the params that this Max for Live device supports. So if you put a print down here, and then click on this get params message, and then look at the Max, a lot of junk in the Max console, push get params, look in the console. Here are all the params that this device supports: second wave, attack, cut, decay, and so on. The other thing that you can do is, say we wanted to know more about a specific param like glide. We could do get info glide, and this will tell us info. You can see here info name glide min 0 max 127 and so on. So this is you can see that both of these are prefaced by this info message here, but they come out the same outlet, and that poses a bit of a challenge because I actually want to do something different with the data that comes from sending this thing the get params message versus sending it the get info message. So what I'm going to do is, and if you have a better way of a better method for doing this, I encourage you to let me know what it is. So not only can I share it, but also I can use it myself. But this is one solution that I found. I make a receive object up here and name it something like toDevice, and use this as my kind of surrogate inlet to this device. And what it does is I'll make a trigger list to split this input up, and before actually sending messages to the device, I'll do this little trick here. So zl.slice1, this just extracts the first element of whatever list I'm setting to this device, prepend set, and then I'll throw a prepend object down here coming right out of the AMXD. And now this get params and get info glide, if instead of sending them to baseline, I make a send to device, and instead of sending them directly to the device, I send them first to this send that goes to this receive. You can see that if I send the get params message now, this get params string comes before info param 2D wave, info param attack, and so on. And if I said get info glide, you can see that get info comes before the messages that are coming out of this AMXD after they're being prepended by this prepend object. And that's awesome. It means that I can handle messages coming out of this thing differently. So that's the first little trick we needed to set up. The next thing that I want to do is, when we are getting all the params, I want to store them in a big list so that I can iterate over them later and randomize each parameter. So to do that, first let's throw in a routes get params get info, so we can handle the parameters and the info about each parameter in a different part of the patch. So get params, it's going to be like info param and then the name of the param. So we'll route info and then route param done, because we're going to get for each param its name, and then after all the params have come through, we'll just get the word done, meaning the device has finished printing out all the parameters that it has. So for params, we're going to store these in a zl.group. zl.group just accepts messages coming in and stores them all in a big list. And then when we get the done message, we will do trigger zl clear B. And what this means is, when we get the done message, first bang on this ZL group to cause it to output all of the everything that it's stored so far, and then send it this ZL clear message, which clears it out, of course, so that if we swap in a new device, we could randomize for different parameters. And then this goes into zl.iter, zl.iter1, which will just send out each bit of the list one element at a time. And then finally, prepend get info, and then send to device. So we're going to get info about each parameter in this device. Okay, so that'll go back up here to toDevice, and then query the device about each parameter, and then info about that parameter will come out of this outlet here. So what I want to do is take that parameter, look at the minimum and maximum possible value for that parameter, and then pick a random value in that interval and send that back to the device to set that parameter. So what I'm going to do is first route info, and what's going to come out of that is going to be one of four things. So we'll do route name min max done. So the name is important because we're going to send the name back to the device with the value that we want to set for that parameter. So you can see here, for example, there is a parameter called glide, and if I do glide 5, then it sets the glide down to the bottom end of that scale here. If I do glide 100, it sets the glide to be way up there. And you can't actually see from this device right here what the min and max value of the glide is, but you can see it over here if you send it the get info message. And also, if for this AMXD you double click on it, you'll get a new view of the AMXD like this. And then if you go to view parameters, you can see all the parameters for that AMXD, including its name, the range that it accepts, its exponent, so on and so forth. There's even a little button here. So if you didn't know where the mod filt was, you could click on this P, click on reveal and patcher. You could click on this P, click on reveal and patcher, and look, there it is, the mod filt parameter. Isn't that exciting? All right, so anyway, the name is how we identify for this device which parameter we'd like to modulate. So we're going to store that. We're going to do prepend set, and then prepend. And this will, this prepend set sets up this prepend object so that it will prepend, it will add to the beginning the name of the parameter that comes through. Now, as for min and max, we'll just make a scale object, and we'll scale 0 to 10,000. We're just going to pick a random number in the range 0 to 10,000, so that's where those two numbers come from. And then for now, I'll just put in here 0.1 point, but those low and high values I'm actually going to set directly using the min and max values from the lower and upper range of each max for live parameter. And then finally for done, we'll just bang on a random 10,000 and send that here into scale. And let's take a second to clean up our patch. It's just like cooking. You gotta clean as you go, or you'll have a lot of dishes to do. I don't know. The metaphor kind of falls apart. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about. Let me give you some advice. Don't worry about metaphors. Metaphors are like Silicon Valley startup. It's all smoke and mirrors. Doesn't really exist. Not sure what I'm talking about. Anyway, so you make another send to device, and there you go. This will, for each parameter, pick a random value for that parameter and then randomize it. So now all we need to do back up here is something like key cell 32 to select for the space bar, and then send a get params message to this device. And check this out. I said check this out. God damn it, Max, making me look foolish. Get params, send to device, slice, prepend set, get param. Is this working? Are the parameters coming? Are we getting a big list of parameters down here? Yes. Are they going over here? Prepend get info. Oh, it's not. Oh, I didn't hook it up. Okay, is stuff coming out of here? Info done. Yes. Did I? Oh. I had one too many connections somehow. Okay, it's still not working. Is this working? No. Is something coming out of name here? No. Okay. Oh, okay, I screwed it up. So this route info, there's, so let's see, get info, route in, this says, Jesus. All right, this says route into, it should say info. Yeah, okay, now it goddamn works. All right, so anyway, there you have it. Make sure that when you spell the word info, you don't spell it with a T. That's an archaic, sorry, I'm a classic scholar, and there's a an old English spelling of info that has a T, so I got confused. Anyway, you push spacebar here and you get random values for all your parameters. So let's see, key MIDI. That's one way this could sound. Seems a bit quiet if you ask me. One thing that you may notice is that since this randomizes everything, it may randomize parameters you're not super interested in randomizing, like say the number of voices involved. Maybe you don't ever want a super long attack. Maybe you don't want the volume to randomly drop down to minus 60 decibels. So what you can do is go back to the parameters view for this object, and then look at all the ones you don't want to modulate. So like, I don't want to randomize level, really. I don't want to randomize attack. I don't want to randomize polyphony, the number of voices involved. So what you can do is between the ZL group and the ZL iter, make a ZL.filter object. And this will just filter out from this list. You can use this to filter out whatever parameters you don't want to randomize. So for example, I think it was level, polyphony, and attack. I don't particularly want to have made random, so we can pick a short attack, drop polyphony down to something reasonable like 4, make the level, just under 0 dB, and then even clipping at that level. Of a button. Instruments for days. Something you can do that's interesting too, I mean, it's because this is the way this AMXD object has been programmed. You can just come in here, and if you want a different instrument, for example, like additive heaven, that sounds nice, doesn't it? So you can take additive heaven, drop it right on top of this baseline object. Let's see, read additive heaven, and it just pops the new device right in place and maintains all these connections. So now, once again, I just push a button. So that was loud. More parameter randomization, and you can just drop in whatever objects you want. One thing I'll warn you about is that this level parameter isn't always called level, because different people have worked on different Max for Live devices, and so they pick different names. You have to look at the parameter names and specify them yourself. In any case, there you go, a little taste into how you can automate the AMXD tilde object in Max, and yeah, a little sneak peek in some of the stuff that we might talk about in this. Did I mention this workshop? It's gonna be so good. In any case, thanks for watching, guys. A pleasure as always, and I hope to see you in the next tutorial. Take it easy.